Hey, everybody. Welcome to another session of Pastor Doug's virtual VIP midweek Bible study. I should say Pastor Doug's,
Ah,
the
the
Dougs.
Dougs.
Uh,
B squared. We are square.
that's what they always tease about my head being square, but it's not quite a square. But anyway, really glad you guys are with us, and we're excited about talking to you. Um, Interested in discussing a little bit about the session we had last week and talking about faith and how important it is. And you know, it's this concept of living life uh, in having this gap in what we can actually see and touch, which is so uncommon for humans. Everything else that we do and accept and deal with, we can see and touch. Um, there isn't anything in our being, in our lives, from day to day. Think about this. This world now, in our concept world now, we're into credit cards and stuff. Where, but it's hard. You get the older generation, and they want to have the cash. And I can remember, like my grandfather, he would have his stacks of money because he didn't trust the banks because he lived through the depression, he lived through bank failures and things like that. So he had his money stacked around. I'm the kind of guy, like my wife Robin, she don't bother stealing her purse because there's nothing in it. She has her credit card. She doesn't carry any cash around. She says, I don't need it. I got a credit card. Well, I'm not that way. I've got to have a little bit of cash in my pocket. I'd be a good guy to roll because I got a few dollars in my pocket because I don't feel comfortable not having. I don't know. Do you carry cash around?
I like cash.
Yeah.
I feel silly putting on a credit card for a low purchase. Like,
Okay. Right.
okay, it's like $7.20. It just seems it's
Yeah.
more the norm, but I'd rather just pay cash.
I get you. So that's kind of the way we live life. So everything is tangible. We can see it, we can feel it. But then you got this faith thing that we're supposed to make a major commitment in how we think, and everything that we do with our life is built around this, a little bit of this unknown. And it's kind of a hard thing to do. So understanding faith and believing in it and committing to it and making this having such a large impact on so much of our life is a big deal. And so when you look at it, it's kind of a hard thing to do. So I'm going to ask Doug if he would just go through the 6 parts of what faith really is and what it can do, and then I want to talk about it just a little bit for you. So Doug, if you go over what we studied here on Sunday.
Yes, sir. Faith shrinks my problems, opens the door for a miracle, moves God to act on my behalf, unlocks all the promises of God, turns God given dreams into reality, and faith gives me power to hold on in tough times.
What does that mean to you?
Well, that's quite a list there. I think it's a really good explanation of what faith means in terms of our attitude towards life. Do we go through life just sort of willy nilly and let life happen to us and sort of react to life? Or do we have these, I don't want to call them, remember the whole thing about rose colored glasses? You see things through rose colored glasses, makes things look nice and everything was all peachy and keen. That's not it. But in fact, it gives you a perspective that allows you to go through life without getting upset and overreacting to the smallest of things. So I like to compare, and I think I've mentioned this before. I like to compare the knee-jerk reaction, like reflexes, to a Christian response, a well thought out, pre-thought Christian response. Now we can't sort of think about every scenario in advance, but we can talk about and think about some things. You know what happens to you day in and day out. The traffic problems, the road rage and things that happens. Family kind of stuff where maybe you're knocking heads over a particular issue. I know when I get home and there's dishes in the sink that I should have done. Whatever the issue is, you can pre-think how to respond instead of just reacting and having a molehill turn into a mountain.
That's true. Paper plates. Think about it. Just
That's a
let
good
that sink in for a
that's a
second.
good solution.
Then it's just an issue of taking the
See how he
trash out.
does that? It's just a
And
simple two
yeah,
or
yeah,
paper plates and he
yeah,
solved my
yeah.
problems. That's why I come
Just
here.
trying to help you, buddy. Just being a friend. That's all. You know, we look at this issue, and maybe here's the thing. Maybe it's not an issue for you about what happens when your heart stops beating. And what I have seen happen is a lot of times when you're young and healthy and strong and able to do everything that you want to do and live in life, you don't really think about it very much. And maybe the first time it hits you is when you lose maybe a parent or an
Mhm.
uncle or something, and you realize, wow, uh, this does end. And you start to look around a little bit. And I've seen it happen with people, and you start to think about it. Or when you start to get older, like we are now, and things start to not work quite as good, or you start to lose people who are your age or you went to high school with, and you start to realize that, or you're 68 like me, and you realize I've already lived most of my human life already.
Mhm.
And so what happens then? That you start to think about what is the truth? What are the options as I move forward? And so that's where faith then becomes a bigger deal, a bigger issue. And so for me, I was raised in the church. I was raised where there wasn't a question about what's the answer? What's the truth? I was taught that the Bible was the truth. Now, I was raised in a religion that said here's how it works and this is what you do, this is what you don't do, and it was mainly filled with don'ts and all that, which I was uncomfortable with. And so it took my own research and my own battles and my own conflicts to try to figure out where to go until I felt comfortable with what I really believed in. But then I established and settled in on believing the truths that the Bible shared, and then I made it helped me understand what what the Bible was saying and how to live. And then I looked at it and thought, well, if I have this faith in God, if God is real and I have this faith in him, it gives me an advantage not just when my heart stops beating and I have this eternal home, but he can help me here in this life now.
Sure, sure. And we think of ourselves as big and strong and capable, and that's where ego and pride kick in. And we are capable. Look at we've managed to live 68 years in your case, and
Mhm.
just a mere 66 in my case.
You're a
But
young pup.
but we have managed, through maybe successes or maybe just dumb luck to get to this point in our lives. But boy, there's such a better way. And if we could just get on God's path and just stop fighting. We want to be in control. It's human nature, and particularly it's the American way. We're the ones that our ancestors have pioneered and gone out west, and we'll just we'll brave the hardships and make things happen. Well, that really isn't kind of our day-to-day struggle anymore, but it has sort of formed us to a bit of who we are. We want to take charge. We want to be in control, but we're just kidding ourselves. God's in control. Do it His way, and we'll have a better life.
It doesn't make any sense to me if you think about this. That to me, you have two very clear options. Either God is real or he isn't. Very clear, very distinct. Which means that either the Bible is true and Jesus Christ was who he says he was, or he isn't. And so let's look at that choice. So if the Bible isn't true, if Jesus Christ wasn't who he said he was, then there is no afterlife and there's nothing that happens to your existence or your being after your heart stops beating and you truly disintegrate and become back to dirt, and that's it. You're gone forever. There's no other remembrance of you for anything. And if that's how you choose to think and live, so be it. Um, I'm not sure pretty depressing, kind of thinking that way, pretty
Hmm.
final, pretty sad to think about the loved ones and friends that may have gone on before, the relationships that you may have coming to an end. But on the other hand, when you see the opportunity that's built through the Bible and a relationship with Jesus Christ and believing in Him, what that means, the hope, the
Hmm.
thoughts of eternity, the salvation, um, the the love that's built into this whole concept of God caring and building and planning for us. It's a neat thing. I can't imagine why God would create us the way He did, the way we think, and not have planned all of this, that we can imagine it and we can look forward to it and we can hope for this eternal life, and how magnificent it really can and could, and in my heart will be. And it's a motivator. And so having these points of faith in our lives to believe in and trust in can enhance this modern life that we live now.
Hmm.
And then it gives us a basis to handle the events of the day.
Sure, sure. And I think Hebrews, as you taught on Sunday, Hebrews 11:1 is the best definition of faith when it says that faith is assurance of what we hope for and confidence in what we do not see. And also in the Bible, Christ said when he came, he said, I came here to give you life, but to live it abundantly. So he wants us to have a really good life here. That doesn't mean to have things. He's not giving us a lot of material things, but what's the most important thing he talks about in the Bible is love. So if we have love for each other, love with our families, and then ultimately love with God, who's giving us eternity with him, there's nothing greater.
This is what I want to caution you about. The Bible talks specifically about Jesus Christ, and the scripture goes about that if you're lukewarm, He'll spit you out of His mouth. Just the other day, with this warm weather we've had, we all Robin is this stickler about water. I never have enough water. I need to drink more water. All right, so she's always pushing water on me, which is great, and she's so careful about what I eat and drink and all that, and I'm grateful to her. And so there's always water in my truck, right? And it's been hot. So now the water is hot. And so the other day I was so thirsty. Brody has me out in the woods working on tree stands and walking around and everything. And I get back in the truck and it's hot. And I grab one of the, and I could feel it was warm,
Hmm.
but it was okay because it
Sure.
was wet and I needed it, but it wasn't great. Cold water is better. But my point is this, and this is what I want to close with. Here we have it's one or the other. Either it's true or it's not. So if we're going to take the stance that it's true, we're going to say, okay, all right, it's true. Okay, I believe it. I struggle with it. Maybe I have some problems with some of the tenets of the Bible and how it all fits together, and I'm not sure because I wasn't raised that way. But why would I limit myself? Why would I not figure it out to a point that I could have this favor of God in my life while I can? I said something the other week from the platform. I don't know if you heard it, Doug, or not. That that what if when you get to heaven you find out it's all true and all of these promises were there? Wonder what God had planned for your life that He was willing to do and prepared to do for you that you doubted and you didn't do it because you weren't sure it was going to work. Would that bother you if you found out there was all these amazing things that if I just would have trusted, it would have
Hmm.
come through?
Yeah, you mentioned that there's this box of blessings with your name on it. And you have to trust, you have to believe for God to bless you. So, yes, on one hand, I would be disappointed that I didn't get the advantage of all those blessings. On the other hand, when I get to heaven, I'll be okay. And that's the ultimate. So I'll get over that disappointment.
I'm anxious to find the blessings. I know Doug listens a lot to podcasts and different pastors, and I do too. I listen on the radio to a lot of different guys, and I just the other day this guy was saying, just ask God to just bless me. And I just do that. And God, just bless me. Just keep me strong. Keep me spiritually where you want me to be. And I say that today, and I want you just to say that with me. Say, Lord, bless me. Lord, enrich me. Lord, show me your favor in my life today. Every place that I go, everybody that I see, let me be able to touch them in a special way and bring glory to you. And just see what happens. Give God a chance. Give him a chance to lift you up and bring you forward. We're going to stay on this series on daring faith, talking about what faith can actually do in your life. And I hope you'll be a part of it with us. Also, for your kids, Vacation Bible School is beginning. When's that next?
August 4th?
August 4th,
4th
Vacation
through
Bible
8th.
School is beginning. I want your kids to be a part of it. They got a great plan. The church is going to be all dressed up, pretty exciting. I hope you'll be a part. Come and see us next Sunday at 10 o'clock. We have a great service plan for you. God bless you. Have a great week. Thanks for being a part.